If you're thinking about working at FedEx, but you're like, I just need to know a little bit more, well, tune in, because I'm going to tell you my experiences working at FedEx. Let's talk about it. Before we get started, don't forget to click the like, subscribe, and bell notification for the latest HE content. Because I know your time is valuable, I made sure to put the topics in the description below that I will be discussing in this video. So let's just get right into it. The first topic that people want to know about is pay. So with FedEx Pay, they mainly start you off in a range, because there's a range of like $12 to $14 an hour. And that depends on whether or not you're working part-time or full-time, whether or not you're working like off shifts, meaning like late nights, maybe even weekends, depending on how that particular location shifts are set up. But it can range from 12 to 14. I would say one good thing also with the pay is that you do get paid weekly. You know, that's something that could be a benefit for you. It was a benefit for me. So, you know, you work your first week and then the next week you get your check. And then you get paid every week after that. Next, let's talk about the shifts. And they are divided into 4 hours. 4-hour shifts. And that's part-time. You do 1 4-hour, you only working part-time. If you do 2 4 hours in that day, you working full-time. And how that works is, so everybody comes in at the same time for that shift. And then when that shift is over with, then everybody leaves. So if you're working part-time, you go home. And if you're working full-time, you would clock out and do your hour lunch, and then clock back in, and then work your next 4 hours. So they're divided into 4-hour shifts, 4, 4, 4, until the next day, right? So, I mean, I was like, okay, that's cool, I can do that. So you're wondering about breaks. Well, you have none. There are no breaks. As long as you're on that clock, you do not have a break. So you can X that out. But what you could do if you wanted to take a little break is maybe go to the restroom or something. But other than that, your only break is when that shift is over with. So when that 4-hour shift is done, that's when you can either go home because you're only part-time, or you're going to take that hour break, that hour lunch, and then come back and work another 4 hours with no break. So to answer your question, you have no breaks working FedEx warehouse. When you clock in, they want you to clock in really before starting time. If you had to come in at 8, whether it's AM or PM, they expect for you to be there like 7:55, or, you know, be on the floor at 7:55. And so I didn't really care for that. And if you clock in late, I'm talking about a minute late, it counts against you. So again, I didn't care for that. I guess what you should take from that is, if you're not good at being on time for work, that may be something to consider before applying for FedEx. They have a lot of full-time and a lot of seasonal work available, but all that's dependent on the time of the year. And being that we're in a pandemic right now, I know they're still hiring it. FedEx is one of those pandemic-proof jobs right now, because everybody's shopping online. I mean, everybody needs their packages delivered. So you got to think, FedEx and jobs like FedEx are going to be in high demand, because those places are like being overwhelmed by the demand, by the orders. And so they're going to be hiring. I'll put their website in the description below so that you can just go straight to it and see what jobs that may be available in your area. So let's talk about the interview. So from my memory, the interview was very easy. I went into the location. I met with somebody. I'm assuming he was a supervisor or something. I don't know. But we sat down, we talked. He asked me some simple questions about my work experience.
can I lift a certain amount, like I guess my availability, pretty much like what shifts would I like to work. I mean, it was a very simple interview. They asked you a handful of simple questions, and maybe they ask you, is there anything you want to know about FedEx or something? Kind of open the floor so that you can ask them a question. And after that, that's pretty much it. Once I passed the interview, then I had orientation. So orientation was only one day, and I went back to that warehouse and sat in a room with some more new hires, and we watched videos, we filled out forms. They let us know what shifts we were gonna work, and then at that time, that's when we all found out that if we worked full time, we'll get an extra, boost in our pay. I think it was an extra $1 and some change or something like that. So after you sign all these papers and watch these long, boring videos, then they will take you into another room to take a picture for your ID. And then after you take the picture for your ID, you'll go back into the orientation room and you'll wait until they get it printed out or whatever. And then you get your ID. And then also what they would do is give you a packet. Packet would have like a water bottle with their logo on it, which I ended up losing. I hate that too. I like that water bottle. I ended up losing that water bottle on the floor when I was working at FedEx. And then they'll give you like a badge cover that you can kind of put on your wrist or your arm or something like that to hold your badge. And I'm sure they gave us some more stuff, maybe pens and papers, I don't know. So now let's talk about training. When I went to training that first day, what they did was, we all meet up in one spot, and then they'll have the supervisor take you to the place that you're gonna be. And, then if it's wherever that position is, which I think for us, we were package handlers. So the way that worked was all the packages would come down the conveyor belt, and we would have to sort them out, scan them. The scanner would tell you like what location to put the package on. They're like pallets on the floor, and they are labeled. So you'll look on the floor, you'll say, okay, this package needs to go on this pallet. And so you put it there. And after it gets to a certain height, you'll have to stack all those boxes so it won't tip over. But when that's done, after it gets to a certain height, then you will wrap it, and then someone would move the pallet, and then they'll put another pallet on the floor, and you'll continue to stack that new pallet with the boxes that are coming down the conveyor belt. And so, of course, with production, you have to do it in a certain speed, a certain tempo. But that's pretty much what that position was that they were training me on initially. They kind of move you around sometimes, but it's doing the same thing, just in a different location, different section. Because warehouse work is warehouse work. I mean, if you're signing up for warehouse work, please believe that you're going to be working. And if it slows down in the area, please believe they're going to try to find somewhere else to put you, because it's all about production. It's all about how much they can move at a certain time. And you are a part of that piece to that production puzzle. During those busy months, they might want you to come in an hour early or 30 minutes early, or, even a shift early. Just depends on who you are and what they need. So sometimes they might require the whole shift, the whole team, to come in like an hour early. And, I didn't really care for that part. And also, they might want you to work another day. So for instance, if you only work Monday through Friday, they might want you to come in on a Saturday. Because of it being a busy season, they might require you to work on Sundays, and it's for the next 2 or 3 weeks or whatever the case is. And so for me, I didn't like that either, because I have other plans. I have other things I have set on my weekly schedule to do, and those extra days, I couldn't do. There's a way that you could possibly get off from working certain days based off of religious purposes. So if they require you to work on a Saturday or a Sunday, and you don't want to work Saturday or Sunday, you could possibly look into getting excused from those days based off of religious purposes. So ask your manager if you're working there to see, what is the religious, because they have to respect and recognize your religious beliefs, in a sense to where if that's against your religion of working that day, then they have to honor that as a corporation. So FedEx will honor that. You just got to make sure you do it the right way so that they can excuse that day. So if the production slows down, and I've had this happen before while working there, they will let you leave early. Sometimes they'll let you leave 30 minutes early, sometimes an hour early, but they have let employees leave early when production slows down. When I see them letting people off, when I'm working, I'm like, hey, I'm here, can you let me off? So yeah, that's a plus. For me, that was a plus. They would let you off if production slowed down. Some people didn't want to get off, which I understand. They want to get that check, stack that paper, get that money. And so sometimes they wouldn't. When I see that check the next week, sometimes I'd be like, man, I should have stayed. But then sometimes I don't care. So it's all up to you. Also, sometimes they will ask you to stay later because it's so busy and they weren't able to finish a certain thing. And a lot of times they have to finish what is on the to-do list, for lack of a better term, for that shift. So I've had to stay late, sometimes maybe 30 minutes late. I really didn't care to stay late at all, but sometimes I would have to because it was so busy the whole shift and things got backed up. So just be prepared. Sometimes you will have to stay later. Just depends on your shift, depends on what your task is for that day. And so just keep that in mind. One thing I didn't like with FedEx, you have to leave your phone in your car. You cannot bring your phone on the floor, or you can put it in one of their lockers before you go into the actual floor. But I didn't have a locker, so I had to keep mine in my car. Yeah, so if you feel like you have to have your phone on you at all times, then that's something you may need to consider, because you cannot have your phone on you while you're working on the floor. How is the environment? How, do they work you? Is it pretty laid back? Well, they do work you, and you are going to be worked. I can't even think of another way to say that. Yeah, it's pretty labor intensive. Some managers that you may not be able to get along with, some managers that may be more micromanaging than others, some days where you may not want to be there. All those things happen in the workplace. Now, all of those managers have to make sure that whatever they have on that task for that shift is done. So, they're going to get on you about, okay, we got to get this done, we haven't got this done, stuff like that. So, say for instance, you have one area where you might not have to pick up these heavy, large boxes, and it might be a little slower pace, but it's still a steady pace. And you might be at another area where you have to pick up those heavier boxes, and at the same time, it's a fast pace. For instance, if you're loading a truck, either way, you're going to be working continuously. So it just depends on what area you're in. Do I recommend working at FedEx? Yeah, I recommend you can work at FedEx. I recommend, if that's something you're looking to do, if you are prepared for what I just described to you, or not even if you're prepared, but if you think you can deal with what I just described to you, then jump in it, check it out. It won't hurt you to check it out. The pay is decent. I'm not gonna say it's the best. Some people, even when I was working at the FedEx location I was at, was working there for years, and some of them have told me that their benefits are real good. So if you're looking for a job that you can build a career with, FedEx may be okay. I'm not gonna say not to work there. I'm not gonna say it's the best thing in the world, but I'm gonna say, let me know what you think about it. Based off what I just described, would you want to work there? Let me know in the comments below. And as I always say, I am he, Heinz Enterprise. Holla.
Wow, that's amazing.